This is Daily Armenia, ΣիվիլNeթ's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenia's foreign minister, Ararat Mirzoyan, compared the 1915 Armenian Genocide with Azerbaijan's ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh that happened last year, asserting that developments leading to genocidal acts do not usually attract enough international attention that could prevent such crimes. He said this in an address to the 5th Global Forum Against the Crime of Genocide, held in Yerevan today, according to state news agency Armen Press. Unfortunately, the international community only starts to talk about genocides and other mass crimes when those become established facts. We witnessed this in our region not only about 110 years ago in the case of the Armenian Genocide, but also literally last year. This is one of the examples when the response of international structures was not equal to the risk factors and the situation on the ground, he argued, adding that governments all around the globe should be more sensitive and flexible to mitigate genocidal risks. Armenian President Vahagin Khachaturian also attended the forum. Today, our country aims to build and maintain peace based on legal solutions and a stable international system of justice, he said, noting that Armenia has assumed a pioneering role in advancing the issues of genocide prevention, punishment, and commemoration of victims. Azerbaijan ethnically cleansed Nagorno-Karabakh, a region with a millennia-old Armenian community, in September last year, imposing a 9-month blockade on the region 2 years ago today that culminated in an offensive that forced all of the region's Armenians to flee and seek refuge in Armenia proper. Azerbaijan's presidential aide Hikmet Hajiev has expressed concerns about the deployment of any outside forces in Armenia, stating that there is no need for third-party participation in the delimitation process if it is conducted in an atmosphere of mutual understanding and peace. We see no necessity for any EU mission deployment on the Armenian-Azerbaijani border. This mission should end, Hajiev declared, noting that while the mission was intended to be temporary, it appears to be becoming permanent. The Azerbaijani official emphasized that the mission's composition and mandate scope have expanded. He characterized the EU mission as a factor causing concern rather than contributing to regional peace, despite the fact that the EU mission in Armenia is a civilian and unarmed presence. European observers have been monitoring the Armenian-Azerbaijani border since February 2023. Baku has consistently criticized the mission, accusing it of espionage and escalation of tensions in the South Caucasus. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan told the country's TV Channel 1 last month that the withdrawal of the EU mission is in fact being discussed with Baku, adding that the Armenian side has counter-proposed removing EU observers from the already delimited sections of the border, where each country's border guard forces have replaced military personnel. Armenia's foreign minister, Ararat Mirzoyan, said in October that the European Union's monitoring mission has been crucial in preventing Azerbaijan from escalating the border crisis. Since its deployment, there hasn't been any major escalation. It works, it really works, and we highly appreciate this effort of the European Union, he said. In related news, Azerbaijani Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov told reporters today that 15 of the 17 points of a draft normalization agreement with Armenia have been agreed upon. He reiterated Azerbaijan's demand that Armenia change its constitution and rejected Pashinyan's legal argument that it does not make a claim over Nagorno-Karabakh. Pashinyan backed the use of Soviet-era maps in the ongoing border delimitation process with Azerbaijan, calling attempts to dismiss these maps dangerous for Armenia. Rejecting Soviet-era maps could mean rejecting our statehood and independence, as we received our independence within the borders of Soviet Armenia, and this is how the international community recognized us, Pashinyan stated. Maintaining loyalty to our internationally recognized territory is an important security buffer for us. Pashinyan emphasized that Armenia should respect its internationally recognized borders, lest other countries might challenge these boundaries, potentially citing Armenia's own uncertainty as justification. referring to the border village of Kirans, which became the epicenter of protests surrounding the delimitation. Pashinyan declared no sovereign Armenian territory has been surrendered there, and encouraged people to go to Kirans and see the success with your own eyes. In that first-of-its-kind border delimitation this spring, Armenia primarily ceded territory it controlled, but did not receive in return many of the agricultural plots that were part of Soviet Armenia's administrative territory. Nevertheless, along the approximately 13 kilometers of delimited border and an additional 7 kilometers of undelimited border in Armenia's northeastern section, border guards have replaced the previously confronting armed forces and combat positions. Azerbaijan continues to delay the delimitation process in other border sections, where it has maintained control over certain territories since the early 1990s, as well as areas it occupied following the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war through several incursions into Armenia's sovereign territory. You can read our new story from the border about the abandoned airport in Armenia's spa town of Jermuk and its current tenant, the former airport manager who set up a farm on what was once the runway. The story also covers the impact of Azerbaijan's shelling of Jermuk in September 2022 and its occupation of an area near the town that continues to scare off potential tourists. You can read the full story with photos by following the link in the video description. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 4,000. That's because the EU border monitors completed their 4,000th patrol today, since being established last year. They wrote on the social media platform X, "We are proud to observe and report on the ground, staying committed to supporting peace in the region." And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.